Hi guys, welcome back to Scott Family Homestead. We are on week 3 of the Every Bit Counts challenge. So this challenge was put together originally by Three Rivers Homestead, and it is basically a challenge to put something in the pantry or freezer every day in the month of August. Every little bit counts, even if they are small projects, and we are following along. So I have 2 other videos that are already posted you can go check out. This is week number 3 for us. So we're in the high tunnel today because it's windy outside, and as far as filming goes, that's a little bit more difficult. But what we're actually going to do is head behind the high tunnel. Started this project yesterday, and that is pulling up our onions. I have a very upset cow out there. I'm not sure. She either wants to be milked or she's in heat. Who knows? Ryan does the milking. I'm not sure where he's at in his day right now. So anyways, we are pulling up our yellow onions and our white onions because they are done. We still have a little bit of time on our red onions, and we're going to attempt to get those weeded. If you've been following my onion journey, it hasn't been the greatest. This is our very first year doing onions that aren't the little sets. So I've tried the little sets many times and pulled them up just slightly larger than what we planted them at. Never had a lot of luck with those, so we decided to do onion starts this year. So what we did with our onions is we ordered the biggest package, thousands of onions. We sold off some of the bundles of onions, and then all the ones that we had left were net zero. So we didn't make a profit on selling those, but it covered the cost of ours. So all of our onions out there are free. Everybody got a discount out of it. If you were to order it from that farm at full price, if you only wanted 1 or 2 bundles, you would have had to pay more. So we passed on about half of the savings to the people that we sold the bundles to, and then the rest of the savings came back to us for the bundles that we kept and planted. It worked out really, really well. I feel like it worked out well for everybody. I've seen some of you who have planted those bundles and grown beautiful onions. You did a better job than I did. Our onions got really, really weedy. So we had a compost issue this year. Our compost is growing beautiful, big plants, but it is so weedy. And I'm not entirely sure how much of it is the fact that we're planting in a hayfield. We've been working on this for a couple of years, getting it tarped and all of that. So where the onions were, we did not do a silage tarp. So there is just grass because it was grass before. But we also have an invasive species in our compost that came in called velvet leaf that is going crazy, and a whole bunch of other weeds. So it quickly got away from us. It quickly became something that we could not keep weeding. And then it got to the point where the weeds were so big that when we were pulling the weeds, it was pulling the onions or dislodging them. So we kind of just left them go. Now their tops have tipped over, which means they are done. After digging through all the weeds and grasses, there are some decent onions in there. There's also some itty bitty ones, but there are hundreds. So we do have a lot of onions, not as many on the bigger side, but we will have storage onions. So that's really exciting. Like I said, it's not costing us anything other than the work we put into it. And then we also will have some kind of medium-sized onions that won't store super long. What we're gonna do is dice all of those and put them in the freezer. And then we're going to take the littlest ones, we'll throw them into baggies, and then we will use those for broth making throughout the year. So they will not go to waste, even if they are itty bitty. So people do a similar thing with their meat birds, because the more meat birds you buy, the cheaper they get. So people will order hundreds of meat birds, and then they will sell like 10, 15 at a somewhat discounted rate to people who would otherwise either not be able to get them shipped or have to buy them from Tractor Supply in a smaller quantity, in which case you have to wait until they're in stock and try to catch that. Or it would just cost more to order a small amount. So they pass on some of the savings, but they make a little bit versus the per bird cost that they paid at the highly discounted rate for buying so many. Get some of your meat birds paid for. It's a pretty good plan if you have farmers around you that want to grow small quantities of things. So that's what we did with our onions. You can see we went through here. So after I picked the onions, I came through with a weed whacker and took all the weeds out to make sure we got every last onion because they were hidden in there. Now we're going to do the whites, which are in this patch of grass. This one being the furthest from the high tunnel was the one we weeded the least early on. Oh, that's decent. If we get a bunch about that size, that would be good. But again, if they're little, we'll make broth out of them. They won't go to waste. We eat and use a ton of broth, and it's really good for you. So we're okay with whatever size we get, hoping for some good storage ones. The white ones are supposed to be the best for storage, so we will see. But definitely going to be changing our process for this next year. We're going to plant them further apart and put a lot of mulch down. And we will be using our own compost. Let's get to picking onions. Okay, so we're mostly getting smaller onions out of the whites. Like I said, they were the weediest. But this is food. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big and beautiful. This is food. If this is what you got out of your onions this year, I'm proud of you because you grew onions. So whatever you're getting, every bit counts. It's okay. This is gonna feed my family, even though they're small. Thank you. Okay, so mostly small onions, but a lot of them. So I'm gonna put these on the shelf to dry with my other ones. I've got all my yellow onions put up already from yesterday. So we're gonna do that with this too. I'm taking some of the bigger ones. I know this isn't huge, but these will store. So I'm gonna put these on the top rack. I'm kind of sorting them, and smaller ones on the bottom. Now that roasted salsa we made in the last video would also be perfect for those little onions. You could just peel them, put the whole onion on there, roast it up, blend it in with that salsa. It would be really good. So none of this will go to waste. It's all food that we will eat, and I'm really excited to have it. All right, guys, over the next 3 days, we're supposed to get 4 or more inches of rain, which is not good news when you're growing potatoes. My potatoes are done. They're in a very similar situation to the onions, where they just got super, super weedy and I gave up on them. So they're buried in weeds. I don't mind if they're small. We like to just make small potatoes and fry them up. We also like to use our potatoes to make potato chips. It's just like a fun little treat. So that's what we grow potatoes for. So these are just for fun potatoes, and they are buried back underneath these sunflowers. I did pick all of the sunflowers out when we planted them, and I kept them out for a while. So I think the row the potatoes are in is a little bit better, but not great. So I am going to actually weed whip to about 6 inches tall. We might just have to go through with a pitchfork and just turn all the soil over and hope we get some potatoes. So however this works out, we will hopefully have some more food. This is the velvet leaf that I was talking about, so it's very soft. It actually is very luxurious. You could probably use this as toilet paper.
If you needed to.
These are the seed heads, and they can actually spit seeds once they are ready to go. And so you do not want this, because they will spread like crazy. Everywhere. And we have a ton of it. So it's just starting to flower out. We're on a mission to get rid of all of it that we can. It's not great.
For you.
Thanks.
Happy anniversary. I'll give
Happy
you an
anniversary.
An invasive species. I actually worked in invasive species for years. We specialized in aquatic invasive species, but I was the educator and coordinator for that organization. So I do have a little bit of a beef with people selling stuff with invasives in it. I've got a little path in here that I made. Okay, let's just, for a moment for these sunflowers. Oh, there's a pumpkin growing in here.
Pumpkin.
Well, this is one of the other reasons I didn't get in here much, is we have stinging nettle, which is now kind of standing out discolored, so it'll be easier to find. But I don't like reaching down in there with stinging nettle. Oh boy, there's pumpkins in here. Pumpkins in the potato patch. When your potatoes start to die back on the top, you know that they're done. Ours apparently did that a while ago, but we didn't know because it's under 2 feet of grass. We're gonna use a pitchfork and try to turn some of this over, see if there's potatoes there, but this might be a total loss. We're just gonna have to see. All right, we got a small collection of potatoes. We spent probably about half an hour in here. If we really turn this over, I think there's probably more in there. But it's not ideal using a pitchfork. It's way better if you can pull the plants up and pull the potatoes off of it and then kind of dig around the area. This is probably the worst possible way to try to harvest potatoes, but we did get some free food. These were planted from leftover potatoes in my pantry. I bought no seed potatoes. All I had left were these little itty bitty ones, so I wasn't even sure if they would grow. So I'm pretty happy with what we got actually because it's free food and I put in almost no effort. We chucked these into holes, covered them up, and came out here and dug for about half an hour. So not a ton of food, but food nonetheless. Now at this point, we'll just lay it out on cardboard in a cool, dry place, probably in the basement. And then when they have a little bit of a skin to them and they have cured a bit, we'll brush all the loose dirt off of them and then we'll just wash them up when we're ready to use them. They probably won't last super long. Probably don't even have to cure them. They're more like just new potatoes. We could use them over the next few weeks, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a go just in case we don't need them right away.
Potato chips. Let's go.
These kids love potato chips. We just slice them and fry them in lard. So just get your lard nice and hot in a skillet. Throw your sliced potatoes in there. They fry up really nice. Pull them out. I use my cheese ladle and all of the fat drains off, and then we salt them. You can salt them with whatever you like. They're really, really good. So kids will be excited. It's especially fun with the purple ones. They're like a purple blue on the inside. When you fry them up, they're like purple potato chips. So super fun. Hi guys, welcome back. My zucchini plants have been going absolutely wild. So I have some kind of moderately sized zucchini. I also have some giant zucchini. Let me show you. I have about, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these really huge ones. Now with these, they make a really good protein source. I'm going to show you how we turn these straight into protein. But we're not going to use these for our project today. Really though, sometimes the things that we grow in the garden just go straight to the pigs. Pigs are an awesome animal to have. I have a video about raising pigs if you are interested, but just the fact that they can turn all of this waste or things that got too big, I've got some cabbages that split and exploded, all of that stuff can go to chickens or pigs and can get turned into food in other ways. So nothing around here goes to waste, everything gets used somehow. I had a few days where I didn't pick zucchinis and they just got gigantic. So I have a whole bunch of them like that and they're gonna go to the pigs, make us some bacon. Today I'm going to shred zucchini to be used for zucchini bread later on. That's really the number one way that we use zucchini. We do some breading and frying. We add it to stir fry or other things. But for the most part, this time of year when we're putting stuff up to be preserved, we are putting these straight into the freezer shredded. So I like to use my KitchenAid. I just kind of chunk these up. I've got my slicer shredder on here. We're going to shred these. I shred it into a little strainer to start. When you take these out of the freezer, the juice will separate quite a bit then as well, and you can kind of drain off the extra juice. So I'm putting them into 4-cup containers, assuming that we're going to draw off a bit of the juice when they thaw out of the freezer. My recipe calls for 3 cups of shredded zucchini. So we're gonna do the quart size and freeze them in there. But it's just nice and shredded. You could use a cheese block. You can use whatever you use to shred things for this. If you don't have a KitchenAid, that's totally fine. This just goes pretty quickly. We're gonna go ahead and grind up both of these, and then I've got a whole bunch more, so I won't bore you with that. And then we're going to get them put into our deli containers and into the freezer, and that's all there is to it. We will use these later. Next week, I do plan on shredding a whole bunch of zucchini and making zucchini muffins and getting the actual muffins into the freezer. They freeze really well. Kind of any bread or muffin freezes well. My kids grab them out in the morning for breakfast, and it's nice. It's a nice thing to have. They do take up a lot of space. We are running low on freezer space. That is one of the problems with putting all of this stuff away right now, is we are full on meats and veggies and everything else, so we're very blessed, but our freezers are bursting right now. So I have to be careful. We got to get some stuff out of the freezer before we start putting muffins in there. For now, we're just going to do the shredded zucchini, get as much of this put up as we can. I've also heard, just recently, I was looking at ways to use zucchini. Some people make zucchini meatballs. Have you ever done that? I'm looking for some experience with that. I'm thinking about doing it, but we don't have a lot of ground meat right now, and so I don't want to make a whole bunch of it and then the kids don't like it. But we eat a lot of spaghetti. We have spaghetti nights, especially on sports nights, and it would be nice if it had like a little bit more veggies to it, because just right now, I mean, it has tomato sauce, but other than that, we're not making a veggie on the side with our spaghetti. So I was hoping to get some zucchini. You shred it like this and you make it right into the meatballs with the meatball recipe. I'm really interested in that, but I'm curious if anybody has any experience. Have you tried it? Do your kids eat it? I've also seen people use zucchini as an apple substitute in an apple crisp. That would be something really fun to try. I have not tried that myself. But that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? If you've tried any of these things, let me know in the comments. So we've got about 2/3 of our zucchini done, and we're almost at 4 cups. So the yellow had a bit more seeds in it. I picked out the ones that I could, but the green definitely had less of that. We got 3 quarts of zucchini headed to the freezer. Hi guys, welcome back. We are going to work on our final project for the week, and that is making some applesauce. We have these smaller apples that are falling out of the tree. They're a little bit sour, but it helps the tree grow bigger apples because it's naturally thinning it out. Now normally we let the chickens eat these, but we are taking them for ourselves this time. We're going to sweeten them up really well and can it as applesauce. Now in the past, I have posted a video. If you have really nice sweet apples, you can put them through your steam juicer and you can get 2 products. You can get apple juice, and then you take all of that pulp and you make applesauce from it. We aren't going to do that with these because they are a little bit sour. We're just going to sweeten these up and can them up in our water bath canner. This is super simple. Pretty much one of the easiest canning projects you can possibly do. We're going to go ahead and just quarter these. We did take the stems off, but I'm not going to worry about the seeds at this point. We're going to cook them in a saucepan with just a little bit of water. Add maybe 3/4 to a 1/4 cup of water and boil it until these are all nice and soft. Ryan is cleaning them up for me right now. And once they are soft, and you can put them through your food mill, then you put them through the food mill. It'll take the skins, the seeds, and any extra stems off, and then you are just left with a sauce. We have 8 pounds of apples today. You put about a 1/4 cup of sugar per pound. You can also add cinnamon or any other spices that you want in here at the end before you jar it all up. My kids really like cinnamon in theirs, but they usually like to just sprinkle it on themselves, and they each like a different amount, so I'm just going to leave that. We're just going to do plain old applesauce. So we get these cut up, get them put in the saucepan, and start getting them heated up. Alright, we split this between 2 pans. Our first one looks about ready. It gets to looking really saucy. It's starting to kind of come apart on its own. I've got my food mill. I just have the old-fashioned crank one. It's even missing the handle. It's super fancy. We're just gonna go ahead and start scooping this out. We're trying to do this before our kids have to go to football practice, so we're kind of rushing. Hopefully it's cooked enough to go through here. Now this is not the way you want to do this. If you want a nice chunky applesauce, this will give you a really nice and smooth applesauce because it's forcing the apples through little tiny holes in the bottom of the food mill. You get a nice smooth sauce with this. We're going to jar this up. You don't have to add anything to your jars. You leave a 1/2 inch headspace and then you process for about 20 minutes, whether it's pints or quarts, it doesn't matter, but adjust for your altitude. So we're going to do 25 minutes. So we'll just keep going with this, and then we're going to add a couple cups of sugar. We'll just taste it and add a little bit at a time, but it'll probably be right around that 2-cup mark based on how much we've got in here. And then it's going to go into jars. I just took the lid off of this or let it sit for about 10 minutes. I was able to get 3 jars. So when I jarred them up, we did 1 quart, and then I did 2 jars that were 1.5 jars that I got from Azure. I really like those for the applesauce. I bought some on sale, and they're actually a really nice size jar. I did have enough left over that I could have done 3 quarts. So we're gonna keep doing small batches like this. I really enjoyed it. With those 3 quarts, it took 1.5 cups of sugar on these apples that are not quite ready for the year. I think that was a good amount of sugar. It's still very sweet and wasn't overwhelming. But I'm gonna keep doing small batches like this, maybe 3 quarts at a time. It was much more manageable and much easier to do it that way than how we normally do it. But where we go apple picking, we get bushels of apples and then we try to like make all of it into juice and sauce and everything all at once, and it becomes a really overwhelming task. So this took about 1.5 hours, and that included doing the dishes. I did that while everything processed, and now we're done. We're good to go. So every little bit counts, even if it's just 3 jars into the pantry. It's all gonna add up in the end and be food for us to eat this winter. Next week, I'm going to do my crispy pickles, so make sure you're watching for that. Last year I used pickling lime for the first time. It's a little bit longer process with some soaking and rinsing, and then you soak it a couple different times, and so I will show you how I do that process because we have a lot of cucumbers that need to be made into pickles, and everybody likes a nice crispy pickle, so we're gonna give that one a go again this year. Otherwise, let me know what you'd like to see next. We've got a lot of things coming out of the garden right now, fruit trees. We also have the farmer's market full of goodies, so you don't have to grow everything yourself. You can purchase it as well and still participate. Let me know what you're working on. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.